welcome to Give a Fuck podcast presented by Spark Consciousness. I am your host, Sarah Woodard. Among other things, I am a certified shamanic practitioner, Reiki master teacher, activist, educator, speaker, and award-winning children's author. I'm also a fierce defender of the underdog, which for me means wildlife, companion and work/farmed animals, Mother Nature, and Gaia herself. I care deeply about my fellow human animals and believe that when we learn to live in harmony with nature, we also learn to live in harmony with ourselves and each other. I am fearless about doing my own inner work and growth, and am passionate about helping create a world where all beings are respected and honored. I have a deep connection to Gaia and feel particularly connected in the presence of the beautiful Colorado Front Range. When I am not busy working to present information about living in harmony with Mother Nature, I share my time with 3 wonderful cats, enjoy birdwatching, and experiencing all the outdoors has to offer. My life journey to this point has been filled with twists, turns, and changes, as has everyone's. For me, the constants from birth to now are a strong connection to Gaia, a deep-seated need to serve and help create a more compassionate and healthy world, and a love of both learning and sharing my knowledge. Those lifelong constants are what have brought me to this point. All of the knowledge I've acquired in the process of learning to live my life in harmony, as well as new information I come across, are the inspiration for and knowledge bombs presented in this podcast. Through connection to nature, I help young millennial women and others feeling lost, expand their knowledge, feel connected to the world around them, and live with greater compassion. The purpose of this show is to present new information and or old information in a new way to help you see connections and live in harmony. Sometimes I'll also share other resources as I love to help you continue learning. As a reminder, the spelling of give a fuck is F*K. And a quick thank you to any existing Patreons. There is a special section in this show where you may submit questions, which will be answered by me. Quick life update. I had some super cool revelations that I wanted to really quickly share. The first was about activism. If you're familiar with any of my work as a children's author, activism was like such a focus about that. And I was freaking out thinking that it was no longer like a part of what I do. And then I took a breath and I was like, wait a minute, Sarah, that's not going to be how this is. Your spirit team wouldn't do that to you. And that's right. They wouldn't. It turns out that what I'm doing here is helping you figure out what you want to be an activist about. Yay! And then I also realized that the stuff that I'm learning and wanting to learn about now is purely for the joy of it, or because I'm interested in it, and not so much about how do I show up as a healer? How do I help? How do I help? How do I serve? Which is amazing. I've also signed up to take ASL, American Sign Language, which starts very soon. And I signed up to do the 52 hike challenge. You can sign up to do that anywhere in the world. And it's amazing. It's just basically these people that put together this website so you can connect with people in your area or not, and kind of keep yourself accountable for going on one hike a week for a full year. Super excited about that. Finally found a way to get myself outside and not have to worry about where should I go? What should I do? Because now I have 52 hikes, so I can do all the things that are interesting to me. So no more decision paralysis there. Yay! Normally at this point, we would have answers. I would answer questions submitted by our Patreon subscribers, but we don't have any yet. However, I have a special surprise for you guys today. We have our very first guest, Steve from World Gone Good podcast is here. So maybe, Steve, if you want to jump on and introduce yourself really quick, you could ask a question.
Hello. I'm so honored to be your first guest ever.
Aw.
Not your last, just your first.
Absolutely not the last.
Absolutely not. Well, we do something very similar over at World Gone Good. We shine the light into the darkness to prove that this planet of ours still has some good fucking shit going on. Exactly. And just remind everybody about that. Oh, a question I want to ask you is this. If there was one thing, the number one thing you would say to anyone listening of how they can reconnect with themselves and with nature, what is that thing?
I think the easiest and the one that anyone can do, regardless of where they live, is just take 2 minutes, close your eyes, put your phone away, put it on silent, close your eyes, and just imagine you are sitting somewhere outside that's peaceful and relaxing and makes you feel good. It can be real or imaginary because it's in your brain, so it doesn't have to exist. And just sit there for just 2 minutes.
I like that. Yeah. It's simple.
It is simple. It is simple. I also want to tell people that if you're having one of those days when you feel like, oh my God, people suck, everyone is awful, go listen to Steve's show, because the people that he interviews are really doing some cool stuff to make the world a better place. And you will walk away after one episode going, okay, not everyone sucks. Just this person in front of me right now sucks.
Not everyone sucks. That should become my new log line, my new tagline to the show.
There you go. So we're going to move on to the Satan of the show. And Steve has some, we kind of talked about this beforehand, and he has some really cool ways that he connects with nature. And Steve, I'm so excited to hear about these because you're out in LA, which I at least think of as like this metropolis of buildings, but you have found some really cool ways to connect with nature. And I want to hear all about this.
Well, first of all, the first thing I did is I got my ass out of LA. Yes, I was in LA 20 years, and I did a pit stop for 3 years in Palm Springs. And for the last 7 years, I live about 70 miles north in Santa Barbara, California. I always thought Santa Barbara was like way further up. Like I thought it was like San Francisco or Sacramento. Santa Barbara is way closer. And I always tease my friends because like, oh yeah, I want to come see you, but and I'm like, it is closer to get to me than across town in LA. You'll get here faster.
Right. There's less traffic.
There is. So we did a lot. We downsized, first of all, from a 1,800 square foot to a 1,048 square foot house. That's nice. Number one. Yeah. Which caused us to purge, let a lot of things go. Things that we used to like, but things that we didn't use quite as much. Sure. And we're just taking up space. And so that's the first thing we did. I can give you the full list real quickly. I like to say that I'm a super liberal guy who is actually a true conservative. And I'll tell you why. Because if you use the definition of what a conservationist is, someone who conserves, that's me. I live in a tiny house. Yep, right. We are a one-car family. It's a hybrid. Granted, it's not electric. It's a hybrid. That's pretty good, I think. We're both
I have my own questions about electric vehicles anyways and how really green they are, because where's the electricity you're charging it from coming from in the first place?
Exactly.
So hybrid to me makes sense. Yeah.
We're vegan.
Excellent. Yay.
We have 3 dogs and a cat. We have a composter that I'm obsessed with.
Yes, and I want to hear all about this composter and the other cool technology you have going too, or really not technology, but
the rain barrel. Yes. I put a rain barrel in.
Excellent.
Well, we hired someone to help us put the rain barrel in, but we have a rain barrel. It counts.
It totally counts. Who cares who did the work?
And I use the water from the rain barrel to water the composter, which is my favorite thing in the world because the tree drops the leaves and we eat the foods, and I put it in the composter. I use the rainwater. We turn it all around, and about 5 weeks later, I open the bottom, scoop it out, and I put it back in the tree.
So cool.
And I'm obsessed with it. I love my composter. I can dispel a lot of myths about it. Doesn't smell like garbage, everybody. It doesn't smell like feet or meat or any of those things because none of that goes. No one puts feet or meat in it, so it's not going to smell like that.
It's not going to smell like that.
But you can put everything in it. It's amazing. I can put the dog fur in it. I can put, when I shave my head, I can put my hair in it.
If you're using it, depending on what you're using for litter, you can put the litter in there.
Yes, you can. You can put coffee grounds with non-bleached, all-natural organic filters. Goes right in. My green tea, my organic green tea bags go right in.
Yep. Non-bleached paper towels, right in there.
Q-tips.
Yep.
Non-bleached Q-tips, all natural Q-tips, right? It's insane how much stuff you don't realize. We went from throwing out probably 3 bags of garbage a week to half a bag. In fact, there's whole weeks we don't put the brown out anymore. We don't put the brown bin out because we don't have to. It's all going in there. It's magic. And you go down. Yeah, you go down to your neighbors and you're like, "Can I have some leaves?" And they're like, "Yes, please take the leaves." So that's what's going on with that. And I love the rainwater. We had so much rain previously before the big storms we had that we took one of the big moving containers we have and filled that with, I think it was 22 everybody, 22 water pail, little water, what do I call that? My little waterer, my watering can. 22 watering cans of water went into that. So we have that plus the 50-gallon one that's already refilled. That's awesome. It's amazing. And I'll tell everybody who's listening and who wants to know this, our water bill went down $30 in the first month from using the rainwater outside because we were turning on the hose constantly to water the different plants because we have so many plants.
Right. Yeah. And I would like to also say, so like Colorado is a desert. It doesn't look like a desert because people are idiots and they're watering their lawns and plants and shit all the time. If we would stop doing that, maybe we could, stop this whole, oh my God, the Colorado River is drying up thing. We should all have rain barrels, which are actually illegal in Colorado, but we should all have rain barrels and be doing this. Yeah. So Colorado has this thing about water rights. And I think it's because, everyone thinks that Colorado is the Rocky Mountains, and a large part of it is, but to the east, it looks just like Kansas. I know because I drove through Kansas and through Colorado, and it looked the same until you get to the part where you can see the mountains. And then when you get to the other side of the mountains, so like to the east, it's like ranch land, just like Kansas. To the other, if you go over the Rockies and to the other side, it is a lot of like orchards and that type of farmland. And so I think it's because of these farms and these ranches that the entire state has these laws that regulate water rights because they don't want people who have like ranches and farms upriver to get water when the people downriver can't. But it's kind of dumb. If everybody just saved the rain, which belongs to everyone in the first place. But yeah.
Everything always just comes down to who's going to make the most money screwing everybody else over for too many people. Not everything, but too many people.
This is why we need your show, because when we get in these moods of like, why is everyone so stupid and why does this stupid law exist? We go to Steve's show and we go, okay, it's not all dumb.
It's not all bad. We're all going to breathe. There is a lot of good still happening out there, and you can make good happen. We tried also we started a garden, but unfortunately, we're not, the angle of the sun is not working in our favor where our garden is planted. So we're going to try to move the garden this summer. I said, let's just wait till the sun, not spring. We'll move it in the spring. We gave it a valiant effort and the carrots came through, people. We got carrots, but everything else.
And everything needs different sun. So you might want to keep the carrots there and then move other stuff too.
Totally. Yes. The cucumbers said, no, thank you.
Yeah.
The arugula
and they need a
no,
lot of sun and a lot of water. So
exactly. So we're like, well, we tried.
And you could always put in a greenhouse potentially.
Oh, that would be interesting. Oh, I want to get a tiny house and put it, because I have this little walkway space, but I want to get like a 8-foot by 3-foot tiny house and put it on the side of my house because it would fit perfectly right in. Realize a little space. And then when I have arguments with my husband, I can just go live in the tiny house.
You can go in the greenhouse. There you go. So what made you, like, of all of the ways you could have picked to kind of give back to Mother Nature, and you picked a bunch, right? But first, I guess let's talk about 3. What made you switch to veganism? And I also want to hear a little bit about that journey, because for me, it was not like a flick of a switch. And so I want to hear for you, was it like a gradual thing? Was it a flick of a switch? And what brought you there? But I also want to hear, like, how did you pick, of all the things, how did you pick a rain barrel and a composter?
Well, Jim had already gone vegan in, I want to say 2008, 2009. He read a book by Kathy Freston, and she's a New York Times bestselling author. Randomly, when we moved to Santa Barbara, this is the random part, we were online at a restaurant. He was outside waiting. I turned around. She was 2 people behind me. She lives here
Oh,
part-time.
wow.
So she's
Huh.
actually our friend. She's our friend now. We go over to her house and we have cocktails. It's very delightful. I told her I'd love for her to come on my show. And she said, I'd love to come on your show. I
Oh.
was not vegan for a few years while Jim was. I had cut back on a lot of stuff. I wasn't eating chicken anymore. I was never eating pork. I was still having meat every now and then, but I was still eating fish. And then we got married on December 28th, 2013. We went out with friends who stayed in town. New Year's Eve, we go to a steakhouse, had a steak. The next morning, New Year's Day, I woke up and I just said, you know what? It's a new year. I'm going to just see how long I can be vegan. I'm going to just go for it. I'm going to go cold turkey. I'll just be vegan with you. That was January 1st, 2014.
Not cold turkey. Not cold turkey. No.
I went cold soy turkey.
There you go.
I went lukewarm, yeah, and I did.
You went cold tofurkey. Yes.
I did, and that's it exactly. And yes, I'm not gonna lie, everybody. I have had a fish a few times. I have eaten things that I'm sure have butter and eggs in them. I still love eggs. For a while, Jim worked somewhere where his coworker had chickens that lived behind her house, and they made eggs, and she used to give us pink and purple and green eggs, and I ate those. I ate those for a long time because to me, that's nature, right? And I'm like that. I was okay with that, and that was my process,
Sure.
right? And everybody has their own process. Kathy Preston talks in a book she has called Lean In, The Lean In. You don't have to go full on, I've seen this so many times online. We don't need a billion vegan. Yes, you better not even paint with lead paint, whatever it is. What we need is everybody to just make a few steps, right? It's just a few steps.
And I'm all about that. Do what you can do. No one can do everything. We can all do something. It all adds up. Do what you can do when you can do it.
Well, it's interesting because I feel like this goes back to like people think I'm going to go like no one really thinks this, but it's like I'm going to the gym and I'm going to go one time, and when I come out of the gym, I'm going to have ripped abs. But that's not how reality works.
Right.
It's just as good to get up and go for a walk, right? It's just as good to get outside and get on your bike. It's just little pieces to the puzzle of,
do something, right?
Do something. So that was step one for me. That was the big one for me. The composter thing happened is because I've always wanted to have a composter. I never quite understood how it worked. Never understood how composter worked. And then I had my friend Michelle Yan come on my show. She's the queen of composting in Santa Cruz, California. And she talked me through it. And then the thing with our town is you can go get up at the city dump. You can get a $90 composter for half price, $45. It's the kind of composter that sits on the ground. That's the kind you want. They do make the other kinds that are like double barreled and the kind that you turn. You want the one that sits on the ground, and there's a lot of reasons for that. The nutrients come up through the ground, goes back to the ground. Worms can come up naturally. It's more nature. It looks like a little robot. You talked about, like little R2D2. He's right in my yard, and I just became obsessed. And I'll tell everybody, like, I collected all the leaves, I watered him, I put all the stuff in it. Nothing happened. And Michelle Yan said, just stay calm, be cool about it. It'll happen. And once it happens, everybody, it don't stop happening. Like, it is now fast and furious. I swear I can turn things around in there in 3 weeks and have like the compost is amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. It takes a while to start, but once it's going, it goes.
It goes. And like I give it to the neighbors. We have so much. I brought up some over to Kathy. I brought some over to another neighbor. We're constantly giving it away because we have so much of it. We don't know what to do with it. It's just, it's constantly.
Once your garden is up and going, your plants will love it.
They love it. They love it. And it's amazing because we had just planted, we had an avocado tree that got sick and we had to cut him down. And it was sad. We knew I always call it a he. She got sick because she stopped making avocados. Yeah, she stopped making avocados. So we had to take her out of the ground, dig up her stump. We put in this little new red maple, and that red maple was doing fine. And then I put the compost, I dug them around him, put the compost in, threw some on top, watered him. He, like, it was like if somebody gave me Propecia, my hair would go, and I'd come pouring out of my head. He came back. He just came to life. It was amazing. So it's just such a cool process to be like,
yeah,
circular. You know what I mean? Like,
it is, and it is a circle. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really cool.
And then, so where did the rain barrel come in?
Oh, the rain barrel came in because somebody new bought the fourplex next door to us, and she said, "Hey, can I talk to you for a second?" She's an owner, and she's really nice. And she said, "Would you come over here?" I said, "Sure." So I go over to her place, and she walks me down our shared, I guess I'd call it not an alleyway, but that's kind of what it is. It's got trees. It's not an alley, everybody. It's just sort of a walkway between our houses, but I have a fence.
It's a pretty alley.
It's a pretty alley. It's nice. I walked down, and I saw, oh my God, she pointed, one of our gutters was positioned through the top of the lattice of my fence. I never thought about where it went. It goes onto her property. So it was spitting out on her property in that alleyway.
She must not be real happy about that.
Well, apparently this is a common thing here in Santa Barbara. And so I called the company and I said, how much would it cost for you to come and move the gutter? And the guy gave me a price. He said, oh yeah, we see that all the time. No problem. It takes no time at all. And then I thought, well, we could just put it on our side, or we could get a rain barrel. And I looked up a rain barrel, and I found this rain barrel I liked. It's a really nice rain barrel. It was $49.99. It's made of like Kevlar or something. It's like really sturdy shit. And it is hunter green, and you can barely notice it's even there because it's in with all our plants.
Sure.
And we filled it up a few times before these big storms come, just from the natural moisture that's in the air, because we get a fog here every morning, right? And it's damp out.
Sure.
And then you open up that rain barrel because the gutter, it's coming off the roof, it's dripping, the roof, and it's dripping in slowly. And now, like I said, it's amazing. It's an amazing thing to open it up and be like, I'm completing a circle here. I'm collecting the water and I'm using the water that comes from the sky. This is amazing. This is how it's supposed to be done. And I've been waiting for the FBI to come in, parachute in, shoot up the house, and then like just rip it apart, set it on fire. How dare you? But they haven't yet, so I'm good.
Yeah, I don't expect that's going to happen, but
it could.
I mean, it could, because they're not like super in favor of circle of life and all. But that's really what it is. Is you're basically now you're part of the water cycle. You're part of the growing cycle. With what you're doing.
It is cool. Yeah. No, it's cool because like even in Santa Barbara, we can go to nature. We have these wonderful hikes and parks. Santa Barbara has, I believe, if I'm getting this right, the most parks of any city in the nation. We have something insane here in Santa Barbara. I don't want to get it wrong. You probably should look it up. But there's over, like, if I'm getting it right, there's close to 200 parks in Santa Barbara. And we're not even 100,000 people. But Some of the parks are literally 15 by 10. But they're designated as a park. And some of them are public gardens that you can get a piece of. Some of them have kids equipment on it. But they're all parks that you can go to, hikes that we can go on. But it's kind of cool to have nature in your own yard and be like, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to go buy fertilizer. I'm going to make natural compost. I'm not going to go turn on the hose and put it on the spigot. I'm going to go collect the rainwater. I'm going to just keep it going naturally. And that's cool to me. That's just cool.
It is super cool. It is super cool. So obviously you're not in LA now, which is, I personally think, awesome. But lots of people live in LA or New York City or other places like that, basically it's glass and concrete. So do you have, like, having lived in a place like that, do you have suggestions for people of how they can find nature in that sort of environment?
I do. I mean, specifically with a composter and a rain barrel, that can be anywhere. You can compost right on your kitchen sink. We have a little composter on the kitchen sink so that I don't have to go out every 5 minutes and open the big one, right?
Right.
And you can, if you have a balcony or a deck, they make all different sizes. And they make this one kind that's, I think I was talking about. It's like it looks like that thing when you play bingo. It like rotates around, and you
Oh,
just
yeah,
you
yeah.
swirl it around. Yeah, you can make it yourself. It's you can find it anywhere. I mean, even New York City has one of the greatest parks in the world. Central Park
Yes.
is insanely cool, and I think it's sometimes it requires um, getting creative, like you said, and uh, as a one car family, we were a one car family back when we first met, and then we wound up having to get two cars for a while, both Priuses, and then when my Prius sat in the driveway for 2 years while I worked from home during the pandemic, I just said, this is silly. And I sold it. I actually sold it to a coworker of mine at the time. And we went back to being a one car family. But I have no problem getting on my bike and going to the gym because I need to warm up anyway. And it's
Sure.
downhill. That's the good part.
There
I
you
get to
go.
go downhill to the gym. And this is the shitty part is after I work out, I got to go uphill.
And you're tired. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm tired. I'm just like, but no, I don't know. I think that it really is. I think we're all really lucky in that this sounds crazy, but you kind of said it. You can even put on a nature podcast or a nature sounds of nature and go sit wherever you need to sit, close your eyes and find your way there. You know,
Yeah.
spiritually find your way there. It's a good reset. It's hard to do sometimes because we're so I know I am, we're so hooked to the immediacy of, you know, our phones, the internet, what we're watching on TV, and it's the Las Vegas syndrome. I call it, oh no God, I'm missing out on something. I used to have that forever. You go to Vegas, you lay down, you go all day, you have all these great experiences, you go to a show, you have a great buffet, and you go upstairs and you just fall into the bed and you're sleeping. You're not sleeping. You close your eyes for about 3 seconds, your eyes open, and you're like, something's happening and I'm missing it. And that's what I call the Las Vegas factor. So
Yeah.
if you can calm the brain.
Well, that's just it, right? It is calming the brain. Like a lot of people are addicted to their phone, and that, like you said, that immediate update, that immediate like, oh my God, who posted what on what social media and whatever. So yeah.
So I think it's a mindset. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I think it's a mindset.
Yeah. 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 Any final words or advice or just random thoughts you would like to share?
Random thoughts. Here's one random thought. I left my job in last March, and I could have stayed, and I had a plan, and I was going to stay until I was 55, and I was a little past 52, and my husband said, "Hey, close enough." But I left my job. And I had a plan to retire early, and I still hope to retire early. And I decided to focus on what makes me happy. And by focusing on what makes me happy, the phone rang. The phone rang the week I was leaving. I was leaving on a Friday, and someone called me with a job on Tuesday. And it was a job I really would love to do. And this friend called and said, hey, I know you can't do it because you're working over there. And I said, well, if you want, I can start Monday because I don't work here anymore after Friday. And she was like, what? And that's the magic of it, of connecting yourself. And yes, everyone listening, I know, roll your eyes. I have kids and I have health insurance and I have a car payment, and he's a jerk because he only has one car. And I have a mortgage and all the things that I have too. But it is making a connection of what makes you happy. And in the last 10 months, I've refocused on what makes me happy. And I have been like, the dam is broken. I've been writing like crazy. I finished a cozy mystery. I'm shopping it around to agents. I don't know that I'll get one, but I'm trying, and I'm doing the blind, doing the blind submission like anyone else would. And I wrote a play that I started writing 2 years ago, and I've been writing and rewriting it. It is going up in March. And I am just right in my zone right now. I treat the play like my job because it is my job, but it's my job that brings me joy. And today, as we're recording, today is my Saturday, Sunday, because Monday's my day off. because we rehearse all Saturdays and Sundays because that's when everybody's schedules work out the best, right? So I am doing something I haven't done in 19 years. I used to do plays all the time. They gave me so much joy, and I'm finding that joy again. It's really amazing. And I got to tell everybody, and you, is like, yesterday, one of the actors was really struggling, and I said, hey. And I just said, this is fun. This is our fun time. And this is just our second like real rehearsal. We've been rehearsing on Zoom, okay, for like just to get, because I'm a director, and I'm the kind of guy who sits down and we talk about characters. We got a lot of discussion, backstory, and what's the motivation? What do you want? Oh, people are going to be rolling their eyes at this shit. Acting 101. What do you want, and how far are you willing to go get it? That's true in life, everybody. It's the same for acting. That's all acting is. Acting also is listen, respond. The other thing about acting is don't act, be. That's it. Congratulations. You're Meryl Streep. I just turned you into Meryl Streep. Just abide by those 3 rules. You're Meryl Streep. But but yesterday, it was such a life lesson. He was so caught up in the frustration of not finding that moment that he wanted to find. And I just said, hey, we're 7 weeks out. This is the second day we've all been together. I said, you're doing great. This is just great. Just make a note of it. Yeah. And he's like, I go, don't kick yourself. And he's like, yeah, I just don't want to disappoint. I don't want to disappoint. I said, you're not disappointing anybody. This is the process. And that is the process, right? And I'm not always this happy, okay? I do get very frustrated. I do wake up some days and go, why did I leave my job? But the only reason I asked that, Sarah, is because I really liked having a steady paycheck.
Yes. Well, but I think that's part of it too, Steve, is like, when you focus on that joy, whatever it is that brings you the joy, there's always going to be rough moments. We live in a human reality. There's always going to be those hard places. But when you're in that place that's bringing you joy, you're also stepping into the flow of like the larger whole of the universe, the larger flow of nature. And so those moments that happen when you wake up, like you said, and you're like, why did I leave my job? Or why did my car just die? Or whatever it is, right? They happen, but you're able to reset a little bit more easily and a little bit faster without it becoming like, my car died a week ago and I'm still pissed off about it, right? Like,
and that's fear. That's just fear, everybody. And you know that. That's just fear. That's absolutely. Little kid fear. That's first day of school fear. That's fear that we know. And you said something on my show. We were talking about, you packing up and moving across the country, the move you made. And
yes.
And again, that's you followed your joy. You followed the joy. You followed your spirit. You said, this is where I'm supposed to go. I'm going to go give it a shot. Here's the great thing, everyone. And I say that everyone, so we all feel connected. You can change your mind. I can go get a job. You know what I mean? May not be the same job, may not be the same amount of money, maybe more, maybe less. Who the hell knows? But you can't wait. I have a very good friend. I'll tell you this one real quick. I have a very good friend. He's got like 4 brothers. They're all in New York. Most of them are cops. And one of the cops said to him, hey, 7 more years, I get to retire. 7 more years, I get to retire. I'm going to retire. I'll be happy. 7 years, I'm going to retire. I'll be happy. In 7 years, I'm going to be happy. I don't have to put up with this shit anymore. 7 years, I'm going to be happy. And my friend turns to his brother and goes, yeah, I'm happy now. And his brother just stopped. And it is a mindset. And I had a guest on my show, and we talked about just this. And she said, because she's a licensed therapist, and she said, well, it's not that easy. It isn't as easy. And I said, I never said it was easy. It's a choice. I didn't say it's easy. And she goes, I hear you. It's not easy. Life is not easy. But that's the beauty of it, right? Because if it was easy, it'd be boring, right?
Exactly. Well, exactly. And I mean, you were saying how, I followed my joy out to Colorado and stuff, and I did, but it wasn't like the journey to get here was without its hiccups. Like, if you've never driven a vehicle with a trailer attached to it, backing them up is not the same as backing up a vehicle without a trailer attached to it. And also vehicles like what I was driving, they don't fit into normal gas stations really well. And I was consistently getting wrapped around the pump, and I couldn't get the trailer out. And the first night at the hotel, I got like wedged in the parking lot but consistently, there was also people there to help me, right? And I think that's a really important thing too, is when you're in that place of like, oh my God, like I can't back up my trailer, or, oh my God, I'm really stuck on this thing. You can reach out and you can say, I need help.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever that is, whether it's a stranger who backs up your trailer, or it's a mental health professional, or a friend, or whatever it is, like you can say, I need help, and help will come.
Yeah. And yes. And sometimes you'll say, I need help. And it's the reset you need to just take a breath, and you'll hear it in your heart. You'll hear it in your soul, and you'll go, okay,
Absolutely.
maybe I shouldn't be doing this thing right now that I'm struggling on. I'll go over here for a little bit. One of the great things for me in the last year is like, I have my podcast, I have my play, I have my book. When I get frustrated with one, I just go, I'm going to move over here for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep. That's as easy as that. And the number one thing I say all the time, you get that struggle, stop everything you're doing, grab one of these 3 dogs, or 2 or 3 of the dogs that I have. You don't need a dog. Go take a walk. Just go take a walk. That's all you need to do. Just go get outside your comfort zone and walk, and everything will reset.
Yeah, walks are great, with dogs, without dogs, with your cat, if on a leash, whatever floats your boat. But walk, absolutely. Right. Yeah. Preferably in a park or some other nature place if you have one available.
Yeah, and worst case scenario, you can be like my mom. You get on that treadmill.
Yeah.
You're still moving that body, and
absolutely.
you can put on whatever music, you can put on whatever podcast, you can put on whatever sounds, you can put nature sounds on, and you can just move.
You can a lot of treadmills have TVs and stuff on them now. You can put on
exactly
some nature program on TV if you want, or whatever. Yeah.
Or Fox News. You can put on Fox News.
Oh,
Fox News, and follow your rage. Follow your rage.
Follow your rage. You walk 12,000 miles that way.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Once again, this has been Steve from World Gone Good. Totally check out his podcast. And we are going to move on to wrap up and housekeeping. You can find me on social media, which I am on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, and LinkedIn. With the exception of LinkedIn, my username on all of those is Spark Consciousness. You can also find me on my website. I would love for you guys to take a look at the upcoming course and magazine and see if those speak to you in any way, shape, or form. If anything we've been talking about on this show resonated for you. Also, if you would like to submit a question or support the show, definitely look into the Patreon. I am also offering people an opportunity to sponsor an episode. So reach out to me if you have questions about that. If your podcast platform allows, it would be great if you could rate the show, or Steve's show if you've listened to that. It's the best way to support us creators. And what is coming? So the online course is coming out March 7th. Otherwise, between now and the next show, I'll be doing some more of those 52 hikes, and I will keep you updated on all of that. And I will see you in 2 weeks. Until then, continue to expand your knowledge, feel the connections, and live with compassion.